Hey friends, Kathryn here from Research Rockstar. Thanks for joining me here today. And today what I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about what's going on with job trends for those of us who are in the market research and insights space. One of the things that we have been seeing, frankly, is that there are a lot of shifts going on in terms of the types of job titles and job requirements that are out there. Now, some of you know that I've been doing research on what's going on with jobs in the market research and insight space over the last couple of years, and I've cited some of this data in a few of the previous conversations in this series. Today, I want to take a specific look at some of the things that are going on, though. And as a way of kind of just getting us started, I just want to point out that when we had this conversation a couple of weeks ago, I shared with you folks that as I was doing my job research, that I was seeing some very strong recurring themes about what types of skills employers are looking for when they're hiring people in market research and insights. And so what we see is when we actually analyze job postings, and I have analyzed thousands and thousands of job postings. When we analyze job postings, what we see is that there are some very strong recurring themes, things to do with sometimes soft skills or strategic skills like public speaking capabilities and project management capabilities, and having skills around things like being able to work or lead cross functional teams. And then there are harder skills that come up. And some of these skills are specialist skills. So it's not like all of these skills are required for all jobs, but they are hot skills. For example, knowing R or Python or SPSS, or having specific expertise around NPS or customer satisfaction work, or having specific expertise around dashboard design, perhaps using Tableau. So there's a real interesting mix of hot skills for people in market research and insights. And some of those skills are what we might consider either soft skills or strategic skills, and some are more hard skills. But I always feel that the best way to understand what's going on in terms of the trends for what employers are seeking is to actually look at some sample job postings. So what I did was I pulled randomly four recent job postings, and these are all job postings that I got off of the website Indeed. So let's take a look at one of these job postings. The first one I'd like to share is from Johnson and Johnson. They have a job posting for a manager of customer and market insights. Okay, customer and market insights, that seems like a good job title. Of course, it's a little bit different than some job titles we used to have, say, 10 years ago. So 10 years ago, there were a lot of job titles where market research was in the job title. Not so much anymore. We still have jobs that have market research in the job title, but more and more we're seeing new job titles. And customer and market insights, in this case, is a great example of job titles where we're seeing more references to either business or market or insights or intelligence. So we're definitely seeing some new words come up. Now, in this case, they describe a few key aspects of this job that they have the posting for. First of all, there's a description of where this job reports to. And this is really important because in the old days, there were a lot of cases where if you worked in corporate research specifically, you were part of a market research team or an insights team, and very often that was part of a marketing organization. In this case, this position is responsible for managing primary and secondary market research, including forecasting and analytics within the Global Business Insights Center of Excellence team. So it's not a market research team, it's the Global Business Insights team. And again, that's very consistent with this recurring theme where a lot of the groups, instead of necessarily being just a market research or insights group, may be a market group or a business intelligence group. And I think that it's really interesting that in this case, it's a Global Business Insights Center of Excellence. So again, differences in the names of the teams and where the teams report. In addition, a couple of excerpts from this specific job description. This position will serve as a representative on a platform business insight team, serving as a key partner to cross-functional teams. Again, that phrase cross-functional teams keeps coming up. A lot of organizations expect people who may be in a market research or insights role to be able to collaborate effectively with people who have other types of data expertise. That might include interactions and collaboration with people who are specialists in customer analytics or in web analytics or something related to maybe e-commerce transactions. But the idea of cross-functional teams is a very strong recurring theme here. A couple of other things mentioned in this job that are very consistent with what I'm seeing overall. This person is going to manage customer insights, market share, sizing and procedural analysis, and forecasting across platforms. This role will require a high degree of business acumen and understanding and must be able to proactively recommend tools and techniques to support customer insights. So, a couple of important things here. This idea of a high degree of business acumen, again, very consistent with the overall theme of for certain types of jobs, what we are seeing a demand for is people who are going to be able to make that connection between the data and the business decision makers. And if you haven't seen the previous conversation about translators in this series, do check it out. This was put forth by the very well-known consulting company McKinsey, where they suggest that there's going to be huge opportunity for people who are translators between the data experts and the business side. And that's what we're seeing here too. We see a lot of job descriptions where they specifically want the research and insights professional to have business acumen, to be able to make recommendations. And again, a very strong recurring theme. I also like that this specific job calls out that this role should be somebody who is going to proactively recommend tools and techniques to support customer insights, because that to me is saying an acknowledgement that sure, we've got a lot of great tools, but we know things are changing and we want this person to have the authority to go out and evaluate and seek out new options for improving things, because we know there's a lot of new ways of collecting and analyzing data. So again, just one job posting, but it happened to have a lot of the key themes that I'm seeing. Let's take a look at another job posting. This is a job posting for Google, Customer Insights Program Lead, Google Technical Services. So a Customer Insights Program Lead. Okay, Customer Insights, that's a nice familiar phrase, but what does it really mean? Well, let me share with you a couple of excerpts from this particular job posting. The Global Customer Care Insights team plays a critical role in Google's success by developing an in-depth understanding of our customers' needs. We represent the customer voice. Fantastic. That fits with what a lot of us are comfortable with from market research and insights. We want to be the objective voice of the customer. Now let's continue on. You'll deliver customer and competitor insights while working closely with business leaders to ensure smooth execution and implementation of the resulting strategic recommendations. Again, this recurring theme where we are expected to be able to tie the research results to specific business activities. How are we going to do that? How are we going to take the results from this data and show that it's going to have a potential impact on the business? One of the things I always say in our classes at Research Rockstar is one of the best ways to think about this is think about how your research results from any given project can help a company either make money or save money. Because if you can connect the research results very precisely to either making money or saving money, then you're really kind of connecting those dots to show people how to put your research results to use. Let me share a couple more things that I think are interesting about this particular job description. You will also be responsible for designing and launching global programs to address customer pain points, responding to factors in the external market, and improving customer satisfaction. Those are pretty big responsibilities, right? And they're pretty broad, which I really like because, again, it's making this position in customer insights really a position where I'm not just collecting the data. I am collecting data with a specific mandate to understand customer pain points, reacting to external market factors, and in general, improving customer satisfaction. There's one last thing here that I think is important in this job description. It includes this statement. Part of this job's responsibility is to gather and analyze large amounts of information quickly and effectively and develop compelling, insightful recommendations. This point about large amounts of information quickly and effectively, if you were to have the entire job description in front of you, what you would see is it's not assuming that those large amounts of information are all coming from surveys or from surveys and focus groups. This is clearly a position where they are expecting the applicant is going to be familiar with many different types of data sources, not just surveys, focus groups, and in-depth interviews. And again, that's consistent with what I've been seeing in the job trends research overall. It's not enough to just know one or two research methodologies. You should know enough about many different methodologies, even if you're not at the level of expertise of executing all of them hands-on, but at the level of expertise where you know when they apply and when they should be recommended for a specific need. Let's take a look at a couple more job descriptions. This one's from MasterCard. They recently posted a job opening for a manager of global research and insights. Sounds like a pretty cool job. Global research and insights for MasterCard. But again, some very interesting nuances about what this specific job requires and how it is consistent with the overall trends. So, a couple of the key points from this job description that really jumped out at me: source and synthesize information and data points and translate them into actionable insights and business recommendations. So, I love this about source and synthesize information and data points. It's not just about doing a survey and interpreting it. It could be about multiple data points and multiple data sources. How about this? Source and execute complex primary research projects with collaboration of research partners in order to address business questions. So, collaboration. Collaboration, again, comes up again and again, and in some cases it's about collaboration with outside research partners. In some cases, it's about collaboration with multiple teams within an organization. But very often, current job openings do require either cross-functional leadership or collaboration with people who have different areas of expertise. So collaboration and being able to demonstrate that you're somebody who can collaborate with people who have different areas of expertise is definitely something that's going to be important in this profession. This particular job description also mentions being able to manage research projects from start to finish, to develop a questionnaire, data analysis plans, write reports, presentations, communicate to key stakeholders. So, having full end-to-end responsibility, I love that. Strong data packaging and storytelling skills were also called out in this specific job opening. I like data packaging. That's a pretty unique phrase. And to me that says that we're looking at data packaging. Not everything's going to be a PowerPoint report. There can be multiple ways of packaging data. And I love that this particular job posting really reflects that. And here's another one that's important and again consistent. Experience across a broad range of market research techniques and analytical techniques, right? And this is one of the things that I think is really challenging, I think sometimes, especially for people who've been in market research like myself for some time, where for many years, if you knew how to do surveys and focus groups and in-depth interviews, you were pretty golden. And even if you specialized in one of those areas, you were pretty golden. Now, there's still opportunities to specialize in those things, to be the best at those things. Because let's be honest, there's a lot of people out there who do survey research poorly, even though they're professionals. There are a lot of people out there who do focus groups poorly, even though they're professionals. Same for in-depth interviews. So you can specialize in those areas or other areas, but you'll have to be the best at them. And that is an important distinction. Otherwise, some of the best opportunities are about being a generalist role where you know when and how to apply those techniques as well as the many others we now have available to us. And just one last job description, job posting. This is from Thermo Fisher, recently posted, I think just in the last couple of weeks, for a market research analyst. Now again, I don't see as many job postings for quote market research as I used to, but this is a great example of a market research analyst job. But again, it reflects what we're seeing in terms of new skill requirements. So let's take a look at a couple of the specific things this job posting required. One, extract information from qualitative and quantitative data and turn it into compelling insights and stories that help our stakeholders become more successful. I love that. It's not collecting data for the sake of collecting data. We want to help our internal stakeholders be successful. Fantastic. Another key requirement, communicate findings across the organization with recommendations on business application. Again, you hear that recurring theme. What does this mean for the business? How is this research actionable? How are we going to use the research to help advance the business? So, we've always said that market research and insights professionals need to know about business, but there's a higher level of expectation about how much expertise that the research and insights person has. And by the way, that's one of the reasons why collaboration is so important. We see a lot of job postings that talk about collaboration because while there is a higher expectation for research and insights people these days to understand marketing and understand business strategy, of course organizations know that there are other experts in the organization who really have those things. So what they need is they need the research and insights teams and professionals to collaborate with these other folks so that we can come up collaboratively with what the implications are. It's there's not going to be a lot of cases where a market research and insights professional is going to be able to work in a vacuum and come up with compelling strategic recommendations. But if they're working in an iterative, collaborative fashion with key stakeholders, there's a much better chance that those recommendations that do come out are going to really be strategic and they're going to be on point, and frankly that they're going to be compelling because they're going to be aligned with higher level business strategy and initiatives. A couple of other key points from this particular job posting that I really like. Identify and investigate new research methods and data sources to continually improve the value of customer insights to the organization. Again, a recurring theme. Employers know that things are changing and they want team members who are going to be comfortable and enthusiastic even about investigating and evaluating new ways of collecting or analyzing data. So I love seeing this again and again in job postings. One other thing I do want to leave with this particular job posting is I really enjoyed the education requirement. The education requirement for this market research analyst job, a bachelor's degree in psychology, either cognitive or experimental, or marketing or market research. I love that one of the key educational requirements could be psychology because there is a lot of interest in understanding consumer behavior, consumer psychology. And so I love that in this case that the employer has said, we're looking for a market research analyst, but they don't have to have a degree in market research. Heck, they don't even have to have a degree in business. We're equally interested in people who have a degree in psychology. So really, really, again, pointing to we want to have a very we want people who are going to be able to bring different points of view and are going to have different ways of understanding consumers. So I love that. I thought that was fantastic. So if we think about just even these random sample of job postings that have been published and posted on Indeed over the last few weeks, we see that it's very consistent with the job skills trends that I've been studying over the last couple of years, where we do see some very strong recurring themes for specific requirements. And the requirements that we see in market research and insights job postings over and over again that were reflected in just these four simple job postings include things like business strategy, being able to champion or socialize insights by working with stakeholders and making recommendations, driving collaboration or cross-functional teams, multiple data sources, project management, presentation skills, survey research, synthesis, storytelling. So there's a lot of strong recurring themes. Now, I know it can feel a little bit overwhelming because there are a lot of new skills that are of interest to employers. How do you decide which ones are the skills that you want to invest in for yourself? You know, as you're thinking about your, say, 2 to 5 year career path in market research and insights, how do you choose which of these skills are going to work for you? At the highest level, I do think that most people in this profession are going to have to make a decision. Do you want to be a generalist, sort of a data agnostic advisor who's going to work in a situation where you're designing the methodology, where you're perhaps mixing different types of data sources and then being the lead on that collaboration in order to bring in multiple data sources and techniques to really meet an organization's specific needs with excellence? Or are you going to be a specialist? Whether it's a specialist in a methodology like survey research or focus group research, or maybe it's a specialty in a specific set of tools, or maybe it's a specialty in an application. Maybe your passion is you want to be a pricing research specialist or a market segmentation specialist or something else. CX, customer experience, right? There are many different specialties, but I do think that as your first step, it will be helpful if you think about, are you on a path to be an expert that's a specialist, or are you on a path where you want to be that generalist, where you want to be the consultative project manager who's going to be the interface really between the executives, the business decision makers, and all of the more technical specialists? There are opportunities for both, but things are changing. And because I've been doing research on this for a while, I recently had the opportunity to give a presentation at the Quirks event in Irvine, California, where I got to speak and share some of my research on job skills trends. The presentation at Quirks was really well received, and I've had a lot of awesome conversations with people. So I've decided to offer it as a free webinar online. So if this topic of looking at changes in skills and job titles for market research and insights, if that's a conversation that's relevant for you, I encourage you to sign up for the webinar. It's going to be coming up on April 25th at 1 p.m. Eastern. You can sign up at researchrockstar.com. So if you go to researchrockstar.com, you'll see a couple of different places where you can sign up for the webinar. And in this webinar, I'll have more time to share more detail about what the specific job skill trends are and the job title trends. But more importantly, in that webinar, I'm going to actually step back and also explain what's going on in corporate America that's driving these changes. Because I want folks to understand this is not a trivial, sort of detour in the world of market research and insights. This is a very significant shift that's taking place. And it's happening because of other changes that are happening in a very significant way in corporate America overall. So in this webinar, I'm going to share with you what's going on in terms of organizational changes in corporate America and how that's going to continue driving changes for the career paths for those of us in market research and insights. So please do join me for that webinar on April 25th, and I hope you all sign up. In the meantime, if you've enjoyed this conversation, please do like it, please do subscribe, and reviews for the conversations either on YouTube if you're watching this as a YouTube, or on iTunes if you're listening to this as a podcast. Reviews are really, really helpful. And the more reviews I get, the more subscribers we get, and the more subscribers we get for this series, the longer we'll continue the series. So please show your support by liking and subscribing, and if at all possible, writing a review for us either on YouTube or on iTunes. If you have any questions, please do leave them in the comments here, and I will talk to you all again next week. Thanks, everyone.